Hey everybody, this episode of the Horror Show is brought to you by Colt Ridgier and Jordan Upton. I don't know, I don't think I forgot anyone. I'm sorry, I've been so sick, I'm so behind on everything. So if you're waiting for an email or stickers or merchandise from me, I'm going to get it out this week. I promise. It's probably already gone out actually, because I forgot this comes out on Tuesday. So yeah, thank you guys so much for dealing with that. I've just been sick as a dog since Chicago. I don't know what happened. This episode though, still in Chicago, so the sound is still a little iffy there, so I hope you don't mind that. Please don't mind it. I really don't have the energy to listen to that shit. But this episode is Idle Hands from Chicago. We actually recorded Idle Hands first, so you might hear some weird things where we might be like, oh, well, we talk about Wishmaster. Well, yeah, we recorded this one first. So enjoy that. And then next week we should talk about what movie we're doing next week. I actually meant to ask our fans at the live show if they wanted to help us pick, but you know what? I totally blanked. So this week we are doing, from our homie Alex Pounders, we're doing Final Exam 1981. Super excited about that. Even more excited, homie Matt Ryan. He's in the band Hot Gospel. He's in the band Hot Gospel. Check them out. They're pretty dope. But House of Wax from 2005. A classic. A tale as old as time. House of Wax. I think Paris Hilton's in that maybe. She's in one of those terrible remakes. So, and then I'm actually getting surgery 2 days before these movies. So I hope everything goes as planned, and I hope I can record Friday. I'm getting surgery on my nose, which I've been meaning to tell the story on the show. And because this episode's kind of short, I'm going to tell it right now. So, I don't really edit that much, if you couldn't tell, but I will listen through a little bit. And recently I just finally noticed I was always sniffling, and at first I would think, I must have been sick that night, or I must have got a cold that night. But the fact is that was never the case. And I kept saying that weeks and weeks. And finally I put together that, I hadn't been sick when we recorded. So I couldn't figure out what the sniffling and breathing I would hear was. And I knew this already, but I have a deviated septum. And so between that and the snorting on the show, which was also recently brought to my attention, I finally said, you know what, I'm going to go to a doctor and take a look at this. And he was like, yeah, your nose is fucked up and you need to get surgery on that. So it was 90% blocked or something like that. So I'm getting surgery on my nose. They're going to cut my nose off, and then I'll have no nose forever. But they're going to fix it. And then hopefully I don't, nothing's going to change. So anyway, guys, that's that story. And it's all thanks to this show that I'm getting surgery in 2 days. So, well, a day when this is released. I'm getting surgery Wednesday. So anyway, that's that. Enjoy this episode, Idle Hands. It was a blast to record in Chicago. Thank you guys, Chicago, so much again. Thanks, Days of the Dead. Thanks, Deadbolt. Thank you, DJ Intel. You guys are all the realest homies in the world. I can't thank you all enough. Jay at Deadbolt was amazing. This was just a blast. This was such a wonderful, wonderful time, even though it made me sicker than I've ever been in my life. Made tons of friends. It was so much fun. So yeah, enjoy Idle Hands, and and happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next week for Final Exam.
Just sitting around watching horror movies all fucking day. Okay, I stopped paying attention in class. I was thinking about the adventures of Ash, about the misfortune of sending kids to Crystal Lake. Became addicted straight away with the initial tape. God bless Betamax. VHS, holy like Amanda Kruger. I was introduced to genre flicks by Toby Hooper. I started craving more just like Larry the Looter. I collected VHS without commentary or bloopers. No computers, magazines, a bunch of stores. Spent my money on movies and begged my mom for more. I'd watch the boys kill those Astro bastards 5 times a day or even more. I loved the gore. Lionel and Paquita combined their lonely hearts. I was hellbound, Cenobites.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Show that dissects, mutilates, dismembers, and butchers all of your favorite and not so favorite horror movies and other horror-related events. I'm Sean.
I'm Joe.
Here, use these next time. Use these next time.
What?
Use these next time. Those are ours. Anyway, I gotta do the show now, though.
Free drinks?
Yeah, don't stop asking me questions. Hello, we are live in Chicago. We have more people coming in. Thank you, guys. Hello. So we just started. We're doing idle hands. I'm talking to these people because there's not that many people here yet. But I'm afraid we're gonna run out of time.
You know we're recording, right?
Yeah, we're recording.
You have to edit all this.
No, I don't. How you doing? How's Chicago, buddy?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Chicago's great.
How are you guys? Hey, it's our buddies. So many people that we are friends with here, and 2 people from Cheshire, Connecticut.
Our hometown, yeah.
Filling this place up. We are doing Idle Hands today.
Yes, live in Chicago.
Live in Chicago at Deadbolt. Thank you guys so much. Thank the guys at Day of the Dead in Schaumburg. That was fun. They put us up for the weekend, and we met some people, barely. So Idle Hands, directed by, you don't have any notes?
No.
Rodman Flender, who did Leprechaun 2.
Oh, why would you think I would write that down regardless?
Because it's Rodman Flender,
Okay.
who did nothing else. This is like the most 90s movie of all time.
It is, yes.
It is insane. The Blumhouse train is real this time. The Blumhouse train is very real.
I also still thought we were doing Wishmaster until you said very 90s.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're doing
Idle Hands.
Idle Hands. Yes, thank you.
Starring the real life Stan from the Eminem music video.
Oh my God, that's right. Devin Sawa is Stan.
He's Stan.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
He's not good.
What? What, dude? No, you guys have all seen this, right? Idle Hands. His body acting is like top notch.
That's actually crazy. You're right. When he's doing this stuff, I actually thought it might have been like a special effect because it was so contorted.
It's
so
phenomenal.
screwed.
He's just jerking his whole body around.
Yeah, it was really good. And Fred Willard is in it. And as we just learned,
Yeah, well, I mean,
had an incident in a movie theater.
yes, that he did, Sean.
I just can't get over that. He's so old. Get a grip. Do it at your house. He's a millionaire.
That I do agree.
Build a room for it. Like, just go away.
Build a room.
Starts out with some real chunky bass riffs.
It does.
This flick.
Yes.
And it is, man. This is
I like the soundtrack to this.
That's stupid. Well, it's like 90% a Sublime album.
I mean,
They play Sublime
They played Santeria multiple times.
the entire song.
And they played Motley Crue, the same song.
And doesn't it have a Motorhead song in it? Or is that Wishmaster that ends with a Motorhead? It's Wishmaster.
That's Wishmaster, yeah.
Yeah, so bad.
That was The Offspring.
There's a Rancid song, yeah. There's Rancid.
That's right.
And then the band is
Offspring.
Offspring, but they're covering
The Ramones.
Yes. Okay. I just wanted to get that right. I couldn't believe. All right, we'll get to it. All right. So do we want to go scene by scene on this one? Because it's kind of an interesting. It's a weird.
Start.
So all right. So first of all, did you like this movie?
I loved it.
You do. Did you see it when it came out?
Oh, yeah. And I was nervous to rewatch it because I usually hate things I love. I still liked it a lot.
I mean, this one was weird for me because I just hate the 90s so much. I hate everything about the 90s.
I know you do.
It's a fucking nightmare. It's such a nightmare period. Mike's so upset, but it fucking sucks. It sucks. And did you read what never mind. All right, so let's get the show started. The movie started.
Okay.
All right. So we open up Fred Willard in bed with his bride.
Yes.
They see a sign. This train is like every 5 minutes. They see a sign.
It's way less than that.
What?
It's way less than that.
Yeah, it's like 3 seconds. I am under the bed is written over
Yep.
the bedroom ceiling. And can you imagine? Well, this beginning was so insane. Like,
It was also Halloween time. So
it was Halloween time.
it's not out of the
Right.
ordinary that
And I mean,
things.
they make it seem like it's a prank at first. Like they're like, oh, it's just Anton pranking us.
Yeah, and then the dad has a great line. Fred Willard has a great line that's like, Anton wouldn't scoot himself off. Wouldn't scoot himself off the couch if the house was on fire.
Well, could you imagine doing that for a prank? Like
Climbing up.
climbing up to the ceiling to write that?
I wonder if we know somebody that pranked their parents by spray painting their walls. When
Is he here?
he might be.
I could not imagine doing that. My dad would absolutely fucking murder me. But they think it's a prank. They go downstairs. They hear a commotion. The mom, Fred Willard goes down and you hear him scream. So the mom goes down. She slips in a puddle of blood, runs back upstairs, and she she tries to call 911, but the
It
phone
is
falls.
the slowest dial of 911 ever. That's even too fast.
And then the phone gets ripped out of her hand.
While she's in the process of hitting, nobody's ever been stopped dialing a number.
Yeah, dude, her finger is literally on the button and just not pressing, like as if she has to engage the button. And it falls. She goes to grab it, and this hand comes out and pulls her under the bed, and blood just
Very forcefully.
fucking
Yes,
splatters.
reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street when Johnny Depp dies.
Yes,
just
a lot of
blood
blood.
being shot everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was alarming to me because I was fully expecting it to be like Anton being like, I'm such a prankster, but that's not the case.
Is this your first time seeing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd never seen it. Thank God. Anton wakes up. We meet our boy Anton Devon Sawa.
Yes.
He
Typical
is
90s stoner.
very typical.
Using a back scratcher to scratch his nuts. Which
Interchangeable
would
with
hurt so bad.
Pauly Shore in any movie. You could put him in a biodome and he would
He would be a good fit in a biodome.
He would cause a lot of hilarity. Fucking Devon Sawa. Yes, he does itch his nuts with a back scratcher.
Right.
And it does.
Why would you do that?
Never.
You have to do the pinch and roll.
Yeah. And then that's disgusting. And we meet a lot of our other characters too in this moment. We get Devon Sawa immediately, who's like, I need weed so bad, and calls his friend who's like, come over.
Yes.
He's like,
He's watching Mr. Magoo, a horror show favorite.
a horror show favorite, Mr. Magoo. He goes outside. We meet this goth mechanic,
Yep.
which are two very different. You don't usually.
I would say
those
it's
two-
goth. He was like 80s metalhead. 80s hair metal. He's wearing a Quiet Riot shirt.
All right, I guess. And how old are these people?
That is a good question because I assumed they were in high school, but I don't think any of them are.
No, I think
they're all
they're all-
fresh out of high school.
No, I think they're like
But then they're going to.
young professionals.
What is the dance that they're going to?
Oh yeah. So they are in high school.
Yeah, but I don't think he is.
There's no way they're in high school. There's no way they're in high school. The goth mechanic is working on his car and
He's definitely not in high
drinking in the middle of the day.
Yeah, he's
drinking beers and working on a car, which
Most
is like
definitely not.
the most dangerous thing you could do. Like under the car hood, like it was insane. And then we meet our other characters, Seth Green and Foggy Nelson
Yes.
from Daredevil,
yeah.
who's a riot in this.
And I like both those characters.
I like Seth Green a lot in this, and I generally don't like Seth.
I think it's great.
Yeah, he's really good. And he walks in on their conversation talking about their mom sucking one of their dicks. and Foggy says, if your mom had teeth, she wouldn't suck dick so well. And Seth Green's like, yeah.
Fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just like, what are we witnessing right now? It's so insane. And then Foggy's like, hey man, what about those murders?
And Anton's completely.
And Anton's like, man, I don't know. What murders? And he's like, there's been 5 murders in this town. Like, people are being murdered left and right, and he's totally unaware. Oh, Jessica Alba we meet too.
Yes. She's riding on a scooter.
Okay. Do you think Jessica Alba's attractive?
In this movie, yeah.
I think Jessica Alba is one of the most beautiful women ever, and her haircut was so stupid in this. It drove me insane. It drove me insane.
It was 1999, right?
Yeah, it was too stupid of a haircut for me. And Anton is in love with Jessica Alba to the point where he has plans to steal her journal.
Yes.
or her lyrics and then give them back to her. That's his big plan.
It's foolproof.
And it does.
I met my wife.
She dropped her lyrics book while riding a moped down the street in 1999. We also go to Beaver, Utah. We jump to Beaver, Utah, where we meet Sister Liquor. Get it?
I do.
Sister Liquor, who's a nun, and she goes to a jail cell looking for some guy, and you see this guy. He's got this like disgusting, mangled hand.
Yeah.
But for some reason, she's like, "It's gone," not telling us anything. And then
she's the mangle expert.
But she's not. But she's like a good mangle expert. She's like the mangle expert you want. Did she ever explain it to anyone?
Well, she knows what's happening.
Yeah, but like it was done well. It wasn't like she looked at the camera and was like, "So let me tell you something about idle hands."
I wish she did that.
That would have been so much better. I actually would have been a lot less confused because I was generally confused for most of it because I don't know how Anton's hand got like that.
Well, yeah. Or why?
Yeah, it just happens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anton, so she's in Beaver, Utah. She realizes this hand, she's like tracking this hand and she's got a map. She's got a map of all the locations where the hand struck and she's like, And then she also has clippings where it's been going on and she's like, wait a minute.
She connects the dots.
She connects the dots and it's a pentagram.
Yes. Which, if you've been following recent events, that's happened with Outback Steakhouses. Yeah, you know.
Oh my God, thank God. Joe was like, what is the restaurant that people were connecting dots to make pentagrams? And it's Outback Steakhouse.
And you can literally do that with anything on a map. Just find 5 places. And just
100%. But I will say, I thought it was just one location. I thought it was like the New York City one where it was all the Outbacks. But like, there's like...
No, it's from like Denver to like Texas.
But there's multiple. There's like...
Right.
There's like a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's not.
I don't know,
it's not.
kind of,
it does stop. It's not.
Some guy did it and just wrote Satan. Yeah. It was like not connecting with any of them. There was just like 5 of them in a row, and he just wrote Satan under it. I loved that one. That one was good. So she's figured it out. The devil's in Anton's town.
Yes.
And now we already know. We're like, okay, so Anton's in trouble. By the way, Anton walked over like his parents' dead corpses and. He's completely ignored all the signs that his parents
like
are
the
dead.
Atypical 90s stoner.
Yeah,
he's completely
so bad.
oblivious.
It's so bad. I think Wikipedia called it like a black stoner comedy slasher horror film.
Completely agreed.
I was like, that is the dumbest thing.
Nailed it.
I was so mad that somebody put that into Wikipedia and no one removed it. I should probably remove it because that's ridiculous. So Anton, we also see Anton gets harassed by some cops. They'll come into play a little bit later.
Yes.
The McPoyles.
One of them does look like a McPoyle.
Well, one of them is the McPoyle.
No.
Yeah. One of them is the McPoyle, 100%. It's that guy Sean.
No, it's Sean Whalen from
Is it
People
he a
Under the
McPoyle?
Stairs.
It's one of the kids from
People Under the Stairs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a McPoyle.
Yeah. Sean Whalen's the McPoyle.
Well, I'll get to the bottom of this.
One of them is from Sometimes They Come Back Again, and the other one's from People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, but the guy from People Under the Stairs. I know. I don't know why I'm arguing with you. But are you sure?
I'm looking up. We'll continue.
Simpson and I don't know the other guy.
Because here's a fun fact. I like looked them up and was
And I was
like,
thinking about, like, 20
somehow
years
came to the conclusion that was
I mean, to me,
accurate.
aged at all 20 years.
We need to know this right now.
That's what I'm doing.
What are you looking up right now?
McPoyles.
One's Jimmy Simpson and the other one.
We'll keep talking.
Well, just look for
watch
the-
me.
just look for
This is
the-
what happens when we actually.
Yeah,
record.
this is the
I spent
actual
like
recording. But
20 minutes Google.
actually, when we actually record, it's way better because I keep talking. But I'm really fascinated by this McPoyle conversation. All right, Joe's gonna figure it out.
Works for everybody.
Dude, they're so gross. They're so disgusting. Those are like my 2 favorite characters.
Their outtakes. If you ever like watch the outtakes involving McPoyle, it's like the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Are you serious?
Yes.
All right, maybe we should just play that instead. I can't focus with this right now. So Anton's getting harassed by the cops that are not the McPoyles, but look like the McPoyles. And then he goes home because they still have no weed and tries smoking nutmeg.
He also asked the cops if he can score from them.
Yes, which they were furious about. They were not. That's a McPoyle?
Yeah, that's him.
Oh my God, he looks so normal.
I know.
That's alarming.
So, yeah, right.
Because Sean
What's that guy?
Waylon.
Waylon is disgusting.
He's the one from People Under
Like
Six.
he looks like a McPoyle.
He does. I agree with
Walking.
that. Yes.
That kid's in a ton of makeup. That's alarming. Like that must suck for Sean Whalen. Because I bet you everyone calls him a McPoyle. Except this guy who's like, no. He should pay you to walk around with him. And be like, actually, no. Stupid idiot. He probably feels so much better. I might write him and tell him.
I'm sure he's doing fine.
He's not, dude. Imagine somebody was like, hey, are you a McPoyle? And you're like walking around.
That would be devastating.
I would cry every night. So they're smoking nutmeg and oregano.
Yeah.
Which does nothing. But later he like blames like his like what he thinks are hallucinations on this. And then he starts making a disgusting bologna and mayo sandwich, and he's just like rubbing mayo, like it's all over his fucking hands, and he's like, ugh. And he doesn't realize that this knife is covered in blood.
Yes.
Until he like pulls it out and stares at it, and it's like, oh my God. And he thinks the killer is in his house, but it's not him. He's like, the killer lives here, but it's not. Zany madcap physical comedy where Anton's just running around the house.
And the cat is eating like an eyeball that's been ripped out of a house.
There's an eyeball on the ground that he's eating. Just a ton of like madcap physical comedy, and then Anton falls down the stairs, hits these giant scarecrows that are in the house for some reason, and it's his parents' dead bodies.
Yes.
Which is great. So he runs to his friend's house and he's like, hey, you guys got to come over here and check this out. Everyone's dead in my house. And they do, and they
show up immediately.
They show up immediately, and they're like, oh my God. And
they're watching the Pop the Pussy video?
Pop the Pussy video by Two Live Crew. And they're like, I thought this video got banned. They're so into it. And there's like two corpses like laying right in front of them.
To be fair, my attention would go to that immediately.
My attention was to it. I was like, oh my God. I was like, why are they playing Pop That Pussy?
Why was that a video that got airtime?
And who was writing Idle Hands that was like, Pop That Pussy? Like they could have done anything where anything these stoners were like, oh, hey man, like that's crazy. Like, I love that. They could have done anything, but they chose Pop That Pussy.
That's a great choice.
And then they dance like white guys. Like white guys, like really white guys. But they notice, they finally notice the parents, they freak out, and they start gathering some clues. They see a ripped shirt.
Calling things clues is so funny. I don't know why. It's just like, two fucking Hardy
it's a
Boys.
Clue.
Yeah.
Wait, my clue's so hard. What's the bit?
That's exactly what it says.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got such a hard...
A raging clue.
So they find a raging clue of Devin Sawa's shirt.
Yes.
A ripped piece of Devin Sawa's shirt. And they like hold it up and they're like...
This bit is so funny because they don't immediately be like, hey, that's your shirt.
They're like, man, this is weird.
Like measure it.
And they actually put it up to it and they're like, they think Anton does it. Anton's hand finally goes nuts because he looks at it under the black light and he sees that it's covered in.
Yeah, but when he pieces his shirt, he goes, hey, man, the killer was wearing your shirt.
Oh, yeah. All right, that bit was funny. He's like, yeah, the killer was wearing your shirt. And
the killer was wearing me. What a line.
And then the hand loses his mind. He breaks a bottle, smashes it into Seth Green's head.
Yes.
And chases Foggy around. Foggy's about to get away. And then he just uses a circular saw as a frisbee and cuts his head off. And I remember these trailers so
There's a great Shining reference in there too, because he goes down the basement and he cuts the door open.
A great Shining reference?
There was a Shining reference.
Okay, thank you. And kills his two friends.
Yes.
Kills his two friends. So we are in the heart of this now at this point. And I remember the trailers so vividly. I remember at the time I did want to see this movie, like really badly, mainly because I was like, oh, Seth Green looks so funny with that bottle sticking out of his head. It was like that My Boyfriend's Back movie. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to see that. And I feel like it goes in the same vein as this, where it was like just people in terrible makeup pretending to be dead people and like getting laughs.
Sure.
All right. Fuck you. So we get some fun acting. This is like where Anton really starts like interacting with his hand as it's a separate person.
Yes.
And So he's like wrestling for the remote in like a pretty good scene because his hand wants to watch other things.
Yes.
I don't even remember what his hand wants to watch.
They go with like 1,000 different things, but everything like relates to what's happening in the movie, which I loved too. There's like zombie movies going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even pick that up. And yeah, and Devin Sawa always wants to watch cartoons.
Yes.
And the hand's like putting on like C-SPAN and shit. It makes no sense. He's covered in blood, by the way. Yes. Anton is covered in blood and then decides to, well, first they're fighting over the remote.
Wait, did you say when Buzzy's head fell off that he says cool after his head's decapitated?
No. Buzz says it?
Foggy said it.
Yeah, Foggy says it? That's so funny. So Anton and this hand are fighting, and then the cat gets in the way, and the hand picks something like a cat and is swinging it by the tail and throws it like 1,000 yards.
My wife was so offended by that.
I thought it was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
So did I.
It was so ridiculous. He throws that cat like 1,000 miles. It was insane. And it just so happens to be at Jessica Alba's house. Yes. The Lady Alba, who Anton goes there covered in blood in just his underwear. And she's like, oh, hey, baby. Like, the whole movie is like predicated on like, you have no chance with her ever in a million years. And he's like, I know.
Dude, no one's ever had a better chance with anyone.
He walked over there covered in blood. And she's like, well, hello there. What are you doing over here?
Prior to that, he gave her the book, but like threw it at her, pushed her inside her house.
And she's like, wasn't this just magical? And did she bring him up here right now where, oh yeah, she brings him upstairs. She's like, why don't you come inside?
Yeah.
And he goes upstairs and the hand's like just misbehaving as idle hands do. And Alba's not paying attention to it. Her back's to him the entire time, which I would not advise any woman to turn your back to a weirdo covered in blood in your room ever.
Not wearing
like
pants.
just always keep an eye open, all right? Like don't completely forget that he's behind you. The idle hand grabs Jessica Alba's butt and she was like, well, okay. Like I've never seen a guy have it this easy ever. Right. And she's like, I do not think you had that in you. He's like, oh, me either. So they start making out and then the hand is like literally strangling her.
Yes.
Like you can like, it was honestly a little bit uncomfortable because they're making out and this hand is like gripping her so tightly that she's like, like dying. And she's like, oh wow, you're kinky. He ties it up and they still have sex.
Yeah.
She's okay with all of it.
They do.
She's okay with all of this. And we don't get to see the sex scene, but we know they have sex because she's like, oh yeah, it would be weird if my parents came home and saw me banging some guy covered in blood. And I was like, yeah, it would be a problem to anybody, not even your parents.
Right.
If a stranger was
be
like,
a problem to you.
Yeah. If a stranger walked by and saw that, they'd be like, I'm gonna break this up. This shouldn't be happening. Like something's amiss here. Yeah. So Anton goes back home, buries his friends.
Yes.
But doesn't last very long.
Says a prayer asking for forgiveness. And then Seth and Foggy reanimate.
Which, like, at this point, I was like, all right, so I don't understand this movie at all. I didn't understand the hand, but, like, whatever. The devil's making a pentagram on the mat, and that's fine. But I mean, why are people reanimating now?
I feel like you're thinking way too hard.
No,
idle hands.
No, I'm not, because... No. I just want to know what. Do they ever say it's like what it is?
But do they ever say it in like Night of the Living Dead? Why they reanimate?
No, but go fuck yourself.
Just enjoy the ride, man.
Well, you've thrown me off. You've thrown me for a loop. Because I honestly feel like there's got to be a reason in Night of the Living Dead, but I don't think there is. Like Godzilla, Nuclear War or something. So we now have the undead friends hanging out with Anton, and they are loving life.
They're very happy.
They're so happy to just be dead and alive.
And they say that they could have gone to heaven, but the light was too far away. So they were just like,
oh yeah, they saw the light and they were like, hey man, that's too far. Yeah. So they didn't go.
I love these guys.
They got reanimated. I mean,
the first thing they do when they're back is just sit on the couch and throw cheese balls into each other's mouths.
Get high still. Like that's all they're doing. They're doing the same shit. So Anton's like freaking out at this point, and they're like, why don't you go see that goth mechanic guy? Because he listens to satanic music.
Right.
He listens to Black Sabbath. which we've talked about is like the least satanic music of all time.
Also, he only listens to Motley Crue.
Yes.
That's literally all
he listens to. And all he does is chase Poon around town. So he is not the guy to talk to. But he does give him some advice.
He gives great advice.
Idle hands are the devil's plaything. Is that what he says?
Sounds right.
Something like that. Idle hands are the devil's plaything. So Anton's like, oh, that's it. I just have to keep my hand busy and it won't kill people.
Yes.
So he
tells him this at the drive-thru, right? At
Yes.
the burger place. Did you see who was there?
Tom DeLonge.
Yes.
From Blink-182.
And Kyle Gass from Tenacious D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why did they get those guys in there? Like, they must have just been in the area, or they were working at the burger place.
Also a possibility.
Very big possibility, especially with Kyle Gass. He was probably like, Jack's busy. Jack's got some shit going on, so I think I'm just going to work at this burger place. So he starts like taking up things like knitting while watching Rob Zombie music videos.
Yes.
Living Dead Girl.
Yeah. Which they played multiple I've never seen a movie that plays the
so
same
many songs. I know. I was just about to say that.
So many times.
Like every song that they played multiple times.
Yes.
It was obscene. It was upsetting. So the cops go, they see him in the window, and they're like, oh, this is a good time to arrest him. The only time they're not doing illegal. Yeah. They're just sitting
They're just listening to that music video.
Yeah. So they go in to arrest Anton. Anton's like, arrest me. Arrest me right now. Throw me in jail. He's like, because he's thinking this is the best thing. And they're like, whoa, hey, we can't arrest you. So they broke into this house to not arrest them.
Right.
Like just to be like, hey, stop knitting and listening to Rob Zombie.
Right. And then they see, and then they see the two
dead people that are sitting there.
Right.
Which
they should have seen right away. Because one of them, his head's not attached.
One of the heads, yes, one of the heads is in the chair by itself. But the cops are like, hey, we can't arrest you, pal. And he's like, please arrest me. And then he stabs him in the neck with one of the knitting needles.
Yeah.
And then the other one, then he grabs the taser from him, shoots not the McPoyle, in the face with a taser, melting his face completely. So we've got 2 dead cops on our hands. And then Anton's like, fuck it, I'm going to cut this hand off.
Yep.
And he does. And it is insane. The gore in this is like really good.
I liked it. I like the makeup in this.
It was really, really good. Anton, I mean, he's got some trouble with it, but he ends up cutting it off with just a giant butcher knife while Foggy's biting it with his hand. And then he puts it in the microwave, and it is like one of the most repulsive scenes I've ever seen. It's so fucking gross. The hand starts turning black and bubbling and like pussing. And it's actually a good thing, though, because the hand is locked up.
Yes.
For now.
For now.
Later, Foggy and Seth Green will come back and be like, I want to make a burrito. Yeah. Even though they are dead, and their hand escapes. All because of them.
And the hand is pissed.
The hand is super pissed.
And the hand has a voice.
It does. It makes noises. And whose voice is it?
It's Robert fucking Englund.
Yes. Robert Englund is the voice of a hand that does not talk. It's just like, what were even the noises? Like,
yeah.
Maybe he just made like the tapping noises.
His best role.
Pretty close, but you liked him in something recently.
Strangeland. I watched 3 Robert Englund movies in a row. Wishmaster and Strangeland.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Wishmaster. He's in a lot of movies, that guy.
Yeah.
And his acting is top notch. His acting in Wishmaster is insane.
He's very over the top.
I can't wait to talk about it. Oh my God. So we cut to the bowling alley. We meet our goth mechanic still around. He's still hanging about. And he meets Vivica A. Fox, who is Sister Liquor.
Yes.
Who's not a sister. She dressed as a sister. She's just a liquor. She's actually a magical priestess. And she is the only thing that can stop this.
Yeah, see, this all makes sense. It all ties together.
Sure. But sure. Okay. And the mechanic is like, hey, I know this guy who's talking about his crazy hand. And she's like, bring him to me.
Yes.
So they go on the hunt. It's basically at this point just a hunt for Anton. They're just trying to track him down and hunt him. We get a random scene, but I just want to mention this because the hand's loose. Mm-hmm. The hand's on the loose. And it's now just murdering people, like just doing whatever it wants. And we see like 2 teenagers in a car wash.
Yes.
And that one is dressed as Peter Criss.
Gives us our gratuitous nudity scene.
Yes, a great gratuitous nudity scene. But wait, who's the star man?
Paul Stanley.
That's Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
One's dressed as Paul Stanley with the makeup. One's dressed as Gene Simmons. And they are making out. Would you make love to a woman dressed as Paul Stanley?
I only make love to women dressed as Paul Stanley.
I was wondering if you were going to say that. Fucking Starman. I would not ever kiss a woman in Paul Stanley makeup. No, that is gross. That is really super fucking gross.
Just Paul? Like the other Kiss members you would?
No, even worse is Peter Criss.
The cat?
Maybe Gene. Yeah, the cat. Because the cat feels...
Cat makeup.
Gross. We go to the dance.
Yep.
And we see the Offspring playing some covers.
Yeah.
Did you notice that even in the 90s, that guitarist looks like he's like 74 years old?
Yeah, I did.
He looks so fucking old. I was like, get the fuck out of here. This guy is like way too old. It's like, if you're in your 40s, it looks like your dad playing guitar. And he's just like, hey man, I'm just here for the ride. And should we tell the story about our friend that made out with his cousin?
I feel like you just did.
Well, the better part of this story is how he told you, which was...
I mean, I don't want
You don't want to out this guy?
No.
Because it'll get back to him.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, it'll definitely get back to him. Anyway, this guy, whatever. We guess we can't tell it. I'll have to edit it out. Well, we can tell it to these guys.
Off the air.
Off the air.
Yeah,
We're not live.
well, we're kind of live.
Well, kind of. And I won't edit it out, for sure. 100%, I will not edit that out. So Vivica finally finds Anton as they're trying to get to the dance to protect Mandy Moore. What's her name?
Mandy Moore?
Whatever.
Jessica Alba?
Jessica Alba. She looks like Mandy Moore in this. Vivica, so they find her. And she is about to stab the shit out. Like, she's like, okay, now I get to fix this. And she just pulls out a knife and is about to stab him. And even like the goth mechanic is like, hey, this seems a little aggressive. Like,
It's like a special knife, right? Like, like Evil Dead 2.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like that. But Devon Sawa was like, I cut off my hand. Like, and she's like, you're she's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why would you let your hand loose? Why would that ever go through somebody's mind? Like, well, I'd rather have it loose than on my body. Yeah. Like, you would definitely think it's dead. But actually, this is like I thought this was like the funniest part of the movie, which was, she's explaining they have to get this hand and kill it before midnight. And he's like, well, that's like 4 hours away. And she's like, it's 6 minutes away in Druid time. And I was like, you know what? That was honestly, that made more sense than any other.
Stop.
Well, no, because like the idea of midnight, like, oh, we have to stop it before midnight. It's like, well, there's so many time zones. What time zone was the rule?
This is what you think makes the most sense?
Yeah, 100%. Because you're telling me something.
Okay.
Whatever. We have way different views on this.
Druid time.
I think Druid time makes the most sense. The hand, though, gets to the Offspring.
It does.
And does something we've all wanted to do, which is rip off Dexter's shitty hair. Stupid spiked hair. Also, I was pretty pumped that he did that. Because usually the musicians in the music video just like look at the camera and be like, oh shit, and like run away.
Yeah,
but Dexter gets murdered.
He does.
It was awesome. And the old man guitarist was like, Sawa ends up in a classroom for puppeteering, it appears. There's just puppets everywhere. And actually, okay, so this is my favorite part of this movie, which is the hand goes into a puppet.
Yes.
And proceeds to live in this puppet for the remainder of the movie. And it is the silliest looking puppet I've ever seen.
Well, it's a grump until they both smoke into it.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, well, he's super aggro. And then they get him high and then he just falls asleep.
He changes his face.
Oh, yeah. The eyes roll back and get bloodshot. Also, I want to go to a school where puppeteering is a class.
A required class.
I mean, they had a full classroom. And it's just disguises for the hand. By the way, they said there were 6 minutes to kill this thing.
It's like an hour and a half.
They spent like an hour and a half chasing this thing around. It's so ridiculous.
But it is Druid time. So it might not be a minute. Our minutes.
They have a different calendar.
Possible.
Well, look at you. Imagine if Vivica A. Fox broke down that calculation. I was like, well, actually, their days were longer because they did not believe in the sun. So the hand is in this demented little puppet, And I would have much rather watched that movie with that puppet being alive.
It seems like you're enjoying this.
Well, this puppet I love. I love this puppet. It's so silly looking, and it's just got these like crazy hands.
I do love this
And it's just like
puppet.
walking around and like running around and like doing terrible things to these people. The puppet has tied Jessica Alba
Which
to a
would be
car
so hard to do.
with one hand. Imagine even having a body as leverage, and you're just a single hand picks up a woman and puts her on the hood of a car, and he's going to crush her with the car lift.
Yes.
Which I would imagine they were like, well, we probably shouldn't let the car lift go into the ceiling. We should probably
Yeah, the people that made it, you mean, yeah.
We should probably not make it extend past the ceiling.
Because it's a human. I mean, if a car would have been crushed so long.
Yeah, it's insane. And everyone is like, well, the only thing we can do now is smoke weed. And they find this like giant muffler and put weed in it, and they all smoke it.
Yes.
And I thought they were going to get
They're calling it
superpowers.
their spinach.
Well, yeah,
spinach,
one of them's like,
Popeye.
get Popeye's spinach, which was cool. But that's not actually what happens. They just get high and then blow smoke into the hand. Who falls asleep? It's like, whoa. A hand with no lungs, no mouth, no anything, gets high and falls asleep. And then even, see, I guess I like the end of the movie. Because then they're like, then the hand wakes up, jumps at Seth Green, Vivica A. Fox throws the knife,
Yep.
and it goes into the hand and through Seth Green, and that's it. The hand just disappears.
Yeah.
Like it literally just vanishes.
And Seth Green calls it.
He's like, that's it? There's no explosion, no hellfire, no, and he makes that stupid noise, which was in the trailer. I remember it vividly. He's like, I mean, I'm glad everyone's all right, but that was weak.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, so when he says that, you're assuming they're going to come back.
Yeah,
Like
but
I was
they
like,
don't.
okay.
It's just a meta
that's
comment.
it.
Yeah.
That's the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I kind of get it. Then they say marijuana saves an otherwise disastrous day. And I would argue that is not the case at all. And then, in the weirdest thing, they're like, all right, lower the car down. And it just comes flying down,
It kills Devon Sawa.
kills Devon Sawa. Or what we think kills Devon Sawa.
Well, it kills him because he has a chance to go to heaven.
Oh, that's right.
He chooses not to.
Which, imagine if that was just as easy as death was. Like you just die and then you're like, nah,
not
I
today.
think I'll go back. Me and Joe just lost our grandparents. Like imagine if they were just like, meh, I'll go back. And then they're just alive and they're fine.
That'd be something.
Is that funny, guys? You can laugh at my dead grandpa, it's fine. Yeah, so Anton's dead. And then he wakes up in the hospital because he didn't go to the light. He's in a full body cast. And Jessica Alba's like, I can't believe he blew off heaven to be with me.
Yeah.
I think he blew off heaven to be alive.
No, it was to be with her.
Joe.
That's the only reason he did it.
And then Santeria comes on.
Yeah. For the second time.
For like the 800th time. That song played nonstop in this movie.
And Foggy and Seth are back, but they're angels now. They got their
Yes,
wings.
they're now angels. And
And they spend their time being angels by walking through nurses.
they're like, let's walk through another nurse. It's disgusting. Fucking gross. And that is how it ends.
Yeah.
That's it. And then my final note was Tom DeLonge was in this movie. Because I could not believe it when I saw it. It was so stupid. So that's Idle Hands. So did you rate it 5 stars?
No.
Okay. I'm glad you got your senses together. He sent me a text and was like, I think this is 5-star movie. And
That's
I was
close.
like, I think you're wrong.
It's a solid 4-star.
Whatever, man. It's Idle
What
Hands.
did you rate it?
I haven't rated it yet, but
What would you rate it?
2.5.
Yeah, it's just not-
2.5 at best. At best.
All right, so yeah, it ends a little bit abruptly there. Doing a live show is kind of funny, especially the first one, because I really felt awkward going through the motions of the end of an episode and then doing another one. So I was just like, oh, let's just end it there and talk to the audience. So we did that for a little bit. So sorry about the abrupt ending there. But yeah, it was a good show. It was so much fun in Chicago. I can't wait to go back. It's going to be awesome. And we actually might be back sooner than you imagine. We've got some secrets up our sleeves coming up. Tons of stuff coming up with Bloody Disgusting, man. Those guys are great. So thanks to them. Really appreciate that. So as usual, Twitter at I Hate Horror Show, Instagram and Snapchat at I Hate Horror, and we're on Facebook, facebook.com/I Hate Horror, and IHateHorror.com. Please rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, and send me an email, Sean@IHateHorror.com, and I'll send you all those stickers and stuff for free. All those stickers. I have one sticker at the moment, but I'll send that sticker out to you if you send in a review. We do have, by the way, we only have I think we have one Mangle Expert hat. I think we have one black and one camo Mangle Expert hat left. And I think only one set of the pins left. So if you want those, store.IHateHorror.com. We've got a few shirts also. But yeah, not a lot. So if you want those, hit me up and we'll get those out to you, man. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. And for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird. Adios.
Nobody's safe since mommy's little boy drowned in the lake. It's been a crazy ride. I'm obsessive compulsive. I have to make a mind. Create a shrine. Life is short and then you die. I'm gonna watch those tapes again, even though I've seen them like a million times. VHS.
Wanna play?
I'm gonna watch what I'm not supposed to watch. A fucking zombie getting sliced and diced. A killer. A monster.
Just a fucking idiot watching movies all fucking day.
Kill her.